What up with it, man? It's the boy Pushman Mitch. You know what time it is. I got my brother Darius Benders in here, dog. Please and thank you. Hey, listen, I asked him to come here so I can steal information from him. Tell the people what they need to know about credit. What do they need to know that we don't know right now?
Absolutely. What y'all need to know is business funding is the play. Like creating leverage. A lot of y'all got businesses. You're looking to start businesses, but most people just don't have enough capital to get off the ground. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give them some free game on how they can go get some funding and then what to do with it.
Okay, so you're a funding specialist. Like, people don't know what that is. Like, what is a funding specialist?
Absolutely. A funding specialist is someone who essentially understands the banking system and how it works, right? Because most people think, oh, if you got a certain credit score, you can just go get funding. And there is, but there's levels to this funding. So when you come to a person like me, you know, on your own, if you got a 700, you could probably go get some $10,000 limits, 5K limits. But when you come to me, I help you get 30, 40, 50, even $75,000 limits so you can go out and increase your capital.
So is it like a minimum credit score that you need for this? Because I hear people talking about that on the internet all the time. You can get 200K in funding, all of that stuff like that. But people like, normal people like me, you feel what I'm saying? Normal people like me, like we normally start off with bad credit. I started off with a 490 credit score. So what do we got to look to try to get before we can come to somebody like you and get funding and stuff like that?
So most people think like you need an 800, you need 750, you don't need none of that. So if you come to me, you have at least a 680. But more importantly than just the score, your credit profile is going to be what we need to be qualified to help you get this funding. So I tell people you want at least 8 to 10 primary accounts. Primary accounts is just anything in your name. So if you got student loans, auto loans, mortgages, traditional loans, those are considered primaries. And then you want to have a certain age, right? Because when you go to these banks, they're essentially looking at you as a resume, your credit report as a resume. So you want to have at least 4.5 years of history. If you don't got history, some things you could do is you could go add someone as an AU, which is just an authorized user account. Okay. Let's say moms or grandma got a credit card that they didn't have a couple, 20 years, they ain't using the thing. You could use them and piggyback off them to help you increase your age.
Okay, so I talk about authorized users all the time, right? So that's what, like globally, they're talking about it as a trade line. That's what they, so when y'all hear somebody saying, I have trade lines, they're normally talking about authorized users, right? So what's the penalties of using an authorized user? Let's say I got the 850 credit score, right? And you the young boy come into me like, yo, add me to your authorized user. And what happens to me? Is there anything negative that could happen to me as being the owner of the credit card?
No, nothing negative can happen to you if you don't give that person your login. So if you're going to add someone as an AU, you can simply call the lender yourself and tell them you like to add such and such. All they're going to need is their name, their date of birth, and then access to their social. But you don't have to give them any logins, any passwords, so that they can't go in and mess with your credit cards or anything like that.
So they can't use the credit card themselves. So I know that, but I just wanted you to explain it to people. So the thing about it is, like when I've done it, I got all of my family on it. So I be trying to boost everybody up. So what I do is I add them to the credit card as an authorized user. And then after that, they send the card to me. I've done it with every bank. I've done it with American Express. I've done it with Capital One. I did it with, Bank of America and so on and so forth. Every time they send me the card. So what I normally do with the card is just cut it up.
Fire.
So as soon as I get the credit card, I cut it up. And now what are the benefits to being an authorized user? What do they get on their credit report? So since nothing can happen to me, what happens to the person who joins?
So now a few things can happen. Now if you had utilization issues and let's say you had that person had a $20,000 limit and maybe you're struggling with utilization, you're at 50%. Now that is going to help you decrease your utilization, right? Ideally we want to be under 20%, preferably between 2 and 9%.
Okay.
It also can increase that age, right? Let's say you've been having that credit card for 20 years. Now I add that. Now that helps me increase my overall age, which is what these lenders are looking for before giving us funding.
Okay, so we get the ages of history, we get the limit to lower, or it could also increase
if they're not responsible.
So that's the big thing about trade lines that a lot of people don't tap into. So it could hurt you just as well as it can help you.
Absolutely.
So the way that it, like I'll tell y'all my experience. So my sister, my older sister, shout out to my sister Aisha, she take care of me good. She put me as an authorized user on one of her cards, but one time she just so happened to use it and she used a lot of the balance, so that raised my utilization up and my credit score shot down. I was like, eesh, yo, you gotta take me off, like take me off the card. I'm cool with you leaving the balance, but I just can't be on there. So that's normally how I handle it. Like I would just remove myself if I don't still need to, because I already got my primaries. And let's just talk about that. So let's just say that I do add the trade lines. How does that help me go and get my own primaries? Like what benefits does it do?
So when the reason it's beneficial is because now that we have the trade lines on there. What we can do is we can start with some credit unions, but no matter what banks you're going to, what they're looking at is your profile. So now they see that you have more age, and as they see your utilization is a better position, now they can approve you for higher limits because you look more lend worthy.
Got it.
Right. So now instead of those $2,000, $5,000 limits a lot of people starting with, you can get these 15s and 20s because your overall profile is in better shape.
Okay, so let's talk about that, bro. So a lot of people are wondering how they get those high ass credit limits. Like, when I first started on my credit, it was bad. I had a 490, like I told you, and I did the big mistake of going to get a secured line of credit, and I just took whatever Capital One approved me for. They said, I think they approved me for like 250, 300,
Sounds like
and I had to put down to 300, and that was my credit that was reporting to the bureaus. Now, although that's how I started, I was using it. I paid it all off early for like the next 6 months. And then they gave me an unsecured credit card, right? And it was just for $500, right? So I had the 500 plus the 300, and it was crazy. So I was having low ass limits. So I'm thinking, damn, I applied for a credit card. They should be giving me 1,000, 5,000 by this time. I waited for a few years, and then I applied for another one. They gave me 1,000. I was like,
slow.
I know people 18, 19 years old that's getting $20,000 limits, 18, 7,000. I was like, I'm still getting 1,000. So talk about that. Like, how do you get those higher limits, bro?
Absolutely. So a few ways you can get higher limits or secure higher limits is one, building relationships, right? Okay. It's like I tell people, just like in real life, if I don't know you and I just pulled up on you, hey, what's going on? Can I borrow some money? You probably gonna look at me like I'm crazy.
Correct.
So it's the same way the lenders are looking at us. So the way you can build a relationship is, first off, go open an account with them, right? Second thing I would do is deposit some money into these lenders. It don't have to be a whole lot of money. If you got $100, obviously the more the merrier. Right. But the more you drop, the better it looks. If you want to strengthen the relationship even more, go set up a partial direct deposit with that lender. And now what I tell people to do is typically like 4 to 6 weeks in, then let's apply for those products. Because by then what happens is we've been consistent on deposits. We've shown that we're committed, even though we're not really committed, right? We're playing the game. And now when we go to apply, we have a better chance of getting higher limit products. Okay. Another play they can do if you're rocking with a credit union is they have, what's called a shared savings secured loan, or otherwise known as the pledge loan at Navy. Okay. Where essentially you're building a relationship internally with that credit union, which is in essence is going to help you get a higher limit when you now go for the credit card to get these 15s, 20s, and $25,000 limits.
So that's very important. So you're talking about IBR, so the internal banking rate.
Yes.
So when you build relationships, like what he's talking about is you go into a bank, you go in Bank of America, you open up a bank account.
Yes.
That's one step. You got one thing that's showing that you are having a relationship with them. Then you come back and he said do direct deposit. You got direct deposit now. That's another, literally a program that they have to be able to access your IBR and make it go up. And then you can come back and do something like get a certificate, all of these different things. Banks have plenty of different things and products that you can use. And as soon as you do them, it helps with your relationship with the bank. And when you apply for that credit card, they tend to feel more comfortable giving you a higher limit. Is there anything else that they look for as far as like, what makes you more worthy outside of just the internal banking rating for you to get higher limits? Because I know, like, I got business credit cards where I got 400 grand, like, and I got some that's 60.
Oh, absolutely. So in terms
of what do they look for?
So in terms of on the business side, I was thinking more personal. So yeah, on the business side, on any credit cards, like you talked about earlier, right? Using the limits that you have and then paying them back on time. A lot of people are trying to get credit limit increases, but they're not quite using the money. Let's say you started off with a limit of 5K. If you haven't even utilized the 5K and paid it back and you go to ask for a credit limit increase, why would they give you an increase? You haven't shown that you're worthy of using the money that they have. So what I tell people is typically lenders, every 90 days, they'll allow you to ask for a credit limit increase, most of them. So what you want to do is max out that credit card and pay it back on things that you're already doing though, right? So paying your bills if you already have to do that, right? If you go out to eat with the family once a week, you already do that, but don't use it on stuff that you wouldn't normally do. Gotcha. That's gonna help you get those credit limit increases. And then in terms of business credit card stacking, they're gonna look at one, your profile we talked about, two, they call it comparable credit. So what your two highest limits are on the personal side, typically you'll get 2 to 3 times the amount of that, which is why I recommend starting with the credit unions on the personal side, because now we got 10s and 15s. When we come to the business side, now we can get anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 limits.
That's strong. Okay, cool. So that's dope. That's very informative. I think people need to start realizing that it's just like we're all victims of what we don't know. Yeah. So until we ask, we won't know. So that's why I'm asking you all these questions. I'm grilling them, y'all. Yeah. I want to make sure I get all of this stuff out of them. So the next thing I want you to tell me about is a funding business. I know you run a funding company. So how easy is it to run a funding company, and what's some of the benefits? Like, how much can we potentially make just by opening up a funding company?
So starting a funding company, I mean, just starting out the gate, I would say you can make anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 a month, right? And the most people think that sounds a little crazy, but it's literally the business with the least overhead that I've ever started.
Okay.
I just taught you how to go get funding for yourself. So what we do now is we take the same skill set, and now we just have to find clients and understand an onboarding process to get them the information we need.
Got you.
Right.
So basically what you're doing is the same thing you just told me about. We do it for ourselves. I go out and get that 30K in funding for myself. Now I've mastered it because I've done it.
Yeah.
So now I can go to you and say, hey, bro, I want to help you get $30,000 in funding.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So how we get compensated for that? What's a normal wage that we might charge for somebody for that type of service?
So we actually don't charge anything up front, which is another reason it's an easy business, right? Crazy. So we charge on a 10% success fee. So if you get a client $100,000 in funding, once they receive their products, we receive a $10,000 payout. And the way we do it is we have it contractual. So first step is we always want to send out an onboarding process where a customer is going to upload their credit report. They're going to let us know that they meet the data points, right? That's step one. Step two is we get on a call. We let them know how the process works. It's $0 up front, 10% success fee. Once they sign off on that contract, then from there, we can get to the funding process.
Got it.
Yeah, and essentially the key to this funding business, you can do it without having relationships, and this is how I started, and just getting people good limits, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 limits. You go to 5 banks, we're talking $100,000. Right. But once you get access to relationship banking managers, which has been a game changer in the past 6 months, it really takes you from $10,000, $20,000 commission to now $50,000, $60,000 commissions, because now you have access to direct banking reps who can push your applications through manually.
How do you get those relationships with those reps?
Absolutely. So a few ways you can do it. I say ask questions, right? People just don't ask enough questions. So I always recommend you going into lenders, right? Asking, hey, do you work directly with underwriting? All right. The reason that question is important because it's going to let you know if they actually have juice, if they actually can get you where you need to be. Right. What I do is I tell people, let them know that you run a consultant company and you work with a lot of small business owners and you're looking to help them get access to funding. Okay. And then you let them know that these people do have they are qualified, so they do have credit scores. The reason that's important is because most banking relationship managers, the way they grow in their companies is by pushing applications through. But the problem is 7 out of 10 people got bad credit. So when I come to them, or someone who's running a funding company comes to them and you say, I got a pipeline of people who have good credit, their eyes light up.
Got
so,
you.
Yep. The third thing you want to ask is, do you all work with people nationwide or do you just work with people locally? The reason that's important is because we want to know, can we fund our clients all over the world?
Right.
And then the last thing I say is, do you all allow a DocuSign? Because a lot of relationship managers will allow them to get on the phone with them, they verify who they are, and they sign a DocuSign, and then they put a note on their application, and they're able to push them through. And that's how we get $50,000 to $75,000 limits from places like Chase and even Bank of America sometimes.
That's crazy, bro. Yeah. That's crazy. So how long you been doing this?
I've been doing this now 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yep.
Okay. And what's the most you've got off of a fee? Like that 10%?
Commission? The most we've gotten off of a fee was $45,000.
$45,000 from one person?
From one person.
That's insane.
Yeah. You know what's even crazier? Like, people always ask, like, okay, well, how do I market the business? But this business is so dope, you don't even have to have a social media presence. Let's say I know realtors, I know tax brokers or tax offices, and I know credit repair specialists. Right? I tell people, always asking your business, who has my money? You don't have to have it. You can leverage other people. So if I go to credit repair specialists, most credit repair specialists are scared to do funding. So what we do is we partner with them. I go to them with a presentation. Hey, I see you run a credit repair company. I run a funding company. I wanted to know, how would you feel about making an extra $50,000 to $100,000 this year doing no work?
Wow.
So when you come to a person like that, now they want to get on the phone. You break it down. We typically pay out referrals anywhere from 1.5 to 3%.
Gotcha.
So if I'm getting $100,000, getting a person $100,000, 10K commission, now they get $1,500 to $3,000 without doing anything.
That's powerful, bro. You breaking bread with everybody.
Everybody eats.
So they're going to send you leads willingly because you're paying. I be telling my students about that all the time. Yeah. What we do in our business is we go to like people who fly people in another city to do like promotion for their club. Yeah. So, you know, when somebody hires like one of the Aries, one of the money bag yos that comes to their club, who's going to be doing that? The party promoters. Smart. So I got all the party promoters who going, you know, I do Airbnb. So I want to get them to have people staying in my cribs, driving my cars. Smart. So I put all of the party promoters in the city in one group, and I'll be like, yo, I got commission fees for anybody who y'all get signed. Yeah. So that's how you just break bread. Like, a lot of people are really so focused on how they're going to make money. What we got to start worrying about is how we can get other people money so that they want to give us leads and want to help us.
That's it.
So that's a powerful bar, bro. See, I can tell you know what the fuck you doing, boy. All right, so that's what I'm talking about. All right, so how can the average person learn from you? Because clearly they just watched this video, and I'm sure people are going to be like, damn, how can I tap in with you? So what, is it something you got that you can literally tell them about or help them out some kind of way?
For sure. I'm actually doing a 5-day boot camp. I'm doing a 5-day boot camp. We're going to be breaking this thing down step by step. I'm going to be showing y'all how to get y'all credit in order, how to go get access to up to $150,000 for yourself. And then I'm going to show you all how to turn this into a 6-figure business where you can now run a funding company. So all you got to do is you can DM me on Instagram, the word boot camp, and I'll send you a special link for my guy Push. It's only going to be $32 if y'all DM me that word. And follow me on Instagram at Darius Benders.
Okay, cool. So only way I'm going to send my folks to it is if you got to leave them with a jewel that they couldn't Google and they couldn't YouTube. So you got to give them one play right now that they cannot go on YouTube and find. They cannot go on Google and find. That's the only way y'all going to go. And if you do, we got to make a deal. Y'all got to sign up for the boot camp. It's only $32. That's like your family eating McDonald's for a day. So for you to be able to have that financial literacy, that credit power, that funding experience, that's going to help you and your family change your generational, wealth stances right there. So give them a game.
I bet. I'm going to show you this how you go get a quick $150,000 on the business side, 0% interest. So we're going to go with some banks that pull from Experian. We're going to go check out Chase first, right? Chase, you want to start off first because they got something called a 524 rule. That means if you have more than 5 credit cards in a 20-month time span, they will deny you. And they're also giving out super high limits at 0% interest for 12 months. Next, we're going to go to American Express. Once you go to American Express, we can apply for 5 business credit cards with just 1 inquiry. You can check out the Blue Cash, the Blue Plus, then the Gold, the Plum, and the Platinum. Then third, we're going to go to Navy Fed. All right, they're looking at $10,000 to $20,000 limits. Next, we're going to go to TransUnion. From TransUnion, you go check out US Bank. You can check out Univest. And then you can type in on Google Elon Financial Banks in your area, and they'll give you funding 0% interest for 18 months. That's 3 banks from TransUnion. And then lastly, we're going to go to Equifax. You can go check out Truist, Key Bank, and Citizens Bank. You're looking at anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 just from those 3 banks. That's how you go get $150,000 and 0% interest funding.
Well, what we got to do?
Google that.
What we got to do, though?
You got to tap in.
Just go there?
You got to tap in with me. Listen, you got to tap in with me. DM me the word boot camp.
No.
Break this thing down, dog.
No. You got to tell us what to do to get this.
Oh, yeah. All right. So this is.
No, we not. Tell them we not doing that.
We're not doing that?
Nah.
All right. So look, first your credit profile got to look right. 680 plus, 10 accounts, less than 4 inquiries in the last 6 months, utilization under 15% to get them super high limits, no lates, no derogatories. All right. Next thing we need to do is structure our LLC the right way. Make sure you got a proper business address, a proper business email. Make sure that your business isn't in a high-risk name. You can't put car rental, can't put real estate, can't put cannabis in your business name. All right, make sure you stick to consulting and make sure you stick to marketing or worldwide. All right, next thing we need to understand is on these applications, when they ask for your business revenue, they're not asking for what you actually did. They're asking for predicted or stated income for that year. And then the next thing we need to know is on applications, we never put self-employed. You're either employed by your job or you're employed by your business. Those are some hacks that y'all can use when y'all are applying for these banks. And on that note.
Okay, now he told us what to do.
Yeah.
So this is what I want y'all to do.
Yeah.
Don't go out there and get the funding yet. Go to the number 1 source.
Facts.
You got to be able to be number 2 to be number 1. So I want y'all to follow him. Go comment the word boot camp. Join his challenge. Actually learn step by step how to get. As you can see, he has a wealth of information. He just broke that down real fast, so quick. I thought he was from New York because you know how New York people talk mad fast. He was telling y'all this, and I made him break it down. But there's one important part that we had to talk about before I let y'all go and join the boot camp. When you're going to get funding, you should know what you're going to do with the money because it's not your money. It's OPM, other people's money. And with that power comes great responsibility. So what's something that you instruct your people after they get the funding that they should do?
Makes sense. So I got a 3-step process, right? We get the funding, we get the coach or the mentor, and then we go run the play because you don't know what you don't know. And most people think that they have a money problem. But if you are already where you wanted to, if you already knew everything, you'd already be where you want to be. So the biggest mistake that I see our people doing is not getting a coach. Don't do it on your own because it's going to cost you more doing it on your own than it is going to cost you to get a coach. So that's the biggest thing I tell you. Get the information, then go run the play.
Powerful. So what I want to say is exactly, I'm double down on what he says. If you don't know what to do with $1,000, do you think you're going to know what to do with $100,000? If you get $1,000 and you spend it, what you think you're going to do with $100,000? You're going to spend it. What we need to do is learn about ROI, return on investment. We need to buy cash flowing assets. You need to know how to do that. You can't just guess that just because you now got a lump sum of money. That's how people go broke when they hit the lottery. That's how people go broke when they get insurance paid out to them, or they have claims that literally somebody pays them out a crazy lump sum of money and they go broke right away. It's because people don't take the time to get the financial literacy. Find you a coach that can tell you what to do with that funding, and I'm going to show you one who can show you what to do. Follow Darius Benders on Instagram, Boot Camp. You know what it is, boy. Pushman Mitch, Darius Benders. We out of here. Talk to y'all later.
Yes, sir.